We're live on the air. And we are now recording. So welcome you all to the October meeting of the Tecumseh Committee of Adjustment. I see everybody is here. For the record, Donna, and is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest by anyone? Okay. Seeing none. We had minutes from August 30th that were pre-circulated. So any motion on the minutes? Was it August? Okay, Lori and Tony. The August or September? They're August, are they?
August.
Donna?
Yes, they're August.
Okay. So having a motion on the floor, any addition, deletion, correction? All in favor of adopting the minutes? Carried unanimously. So we got to wait 2 or 3 minutes here for Ms. Peel and Abs. She could come on though, because she's next. Great. Hi, Tracy.
Good evening.
So we got to wait till 5:05 because that's what's on the agenda. And we want to make sure that everybody's aboard who's coming aboard. Don, is any idea when we're going to have this live again, or are we going to be on Zoom forever?
I don't have any information with respect to whether or not we'll be going like into council chambers at any time soon.
Well, all the restrictions are lifted in March in Ontario, apparently, so that would be a good time.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and get direction from the CAO and council with respect to that.
Lori, were you here when I asked if there's any disclosure of interest?
Yeah, I was there, and no, I don't declare any.
I saw you went off and on, so. The beginning stuff went really fast. Okay, so everybody's here and said they were going to be here, and it's 5:05. So Donna, you want to read the first application for Revenberg Holdings?
Sure. Application for consent B1721 Revenberg Holdings Limited, 6067 Walker Road. The purpose of the application is to request consent to sever a surplus dwelling lot having a frontage of 73.57 meters, 241.58 feet, an irregular depth, and a lot area of 0.5 hectares, 1.25 acres, identified as Part 3 and 5 on the sketch attached and outlined in red. The proposed severed lot contains a house and a barn. The proposed retained farm parcel has an approximate lot area of 40.4 hectares, 99.85 hectares, identified as parts 1, 2, and 4 on the sketch attached and outlined in green. The lands are designated agricultural in the Town of Tecumseh official plan and zoned agricultural in the Sandwich South zoning bylaw. The following correspondence was received. Engineering Department, that the owner enter into and provide the Town of Tecumseh a written agreement for the reapportionment of the drainage assessment for the subject lands in accordance with section 65(2) of the Ontario Drainage Act, RSO 1990 as amended, and that the associated costs of same be borne solely by the applicant. That the parcel be severed is serviced with a separate water supply to the satisfaction of the Town of Tecumseh Water Services Division prior to the severance being finalized, and that the applicant be required to provide and implement an engineered drainage and grading plan for the parcel to be severed and to provide a legal drainage outlet for the parcel to be severed that is secured in perpetuity to the satisfaction of the town engineer prior to the severance being finalized. The property is to be severed currently appears to drain westerly to the O'Neill Drain across the property to be retained. No comments received from building, no comments received from fire services, no concerns from Essex Power, and Essex Region Conservation provided the following. The above noted lands are subject to our development, interference in wetlands, and alterations to shorelines and watercourses regulations under the Conservation Authorities Act, Ontario Regulation Number 15806. The parcel falls within the regulated area of the Old Castle Road Drain and O'Neill Drain. The property owner will be required to obtain a permit and/or clearance from IRCA prior to any future construction or site alteration or other activities affected by Section 28 of the Conservation Authorities Act. The County of Essex comments. The applicant will be required to comply with the following county road regulations. County bylaw number 2481, a bylaw to provide for the protection of highways and to provide for the installation of entranceways. County bylaw number 2480, a bylaw for the Corporation of the County of Essex to regulate and location of buildings and structures on lands adjacent to county roads. The minimum setback must be 85 feet from the original limit of County Road number 11. Permits are necessary for any changes to existing entrances and structures or the construction of new entrances or structures. No new direct connections will be permitted to county road drains.
Okay. Tracy, at this point in the meeting, I usually ask the proponent if they have any additional information for the committee that you'd like to give us, or?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. No additional information, just that we support the planner's report and have no concerns with any of the conditions that are proposed.
Okay. There's nobody registered to speak on this from the public general. So do the committee have any questions? Committee, Lori, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question to the applicant. Can you confirm that the retained parcel, rather the remnant farm parcel, we'll call it, will be consolidated with an existing farming operation?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, the retained parcel will be 40.4 hectares in total size.
Okay, so furthermore, Mr. Chair, just to confirm through to administration, therefore, the operation can stand on its own. It doesn't need to be consolidated with an existing farming operation because it meets the minimum 40 hectares.
That's correct. The current minimum lot area is actually 19 hectares until the bylaw fully implements the new official plan, but it meets it regardless for the surplus dwelling lot policies. It meets the minimum lot area for that, and it meets the current zoning bylaw minimum lot area. It will have to be rezoned to prohibit a dwelling from being constructed on it, though.
Okay, amazing. So no minor variances we're seeing alongside this. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Anybody else? Nobody else? Nobody else? I had one question, the kind of a nitpicky one, Chad, but I think it's this old hectares and acres conversion. The bylaw is half a hectare, right? Which is not 1.25 acres, it's slightly less.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, that's correct. It's slightly less than 1.25 acres. If you go to the 100th decimal point, yeah, it exceeds it by just a slight bit. So that there's an option there to address through the requisite rezoning,
Right.
the lot size, given that if you were just to go to the 10th decimal point, you could argue it meets the minimum lot area. But if the building official determines that he needs to see that meet it to the 100th decimal point, we can ask for that to be addressed through the requisite rezoning.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting any other solution. I was thinking we'd deal with it in rezoning, but just to mention that because of the nature of the property and the way it's laid out, the fact that there's the building in the back that has to have clearance from the rear lot line, it only makes sense to have it 1.25 acres rather than 0.5 hectares. So yeah, just bringing it up so that you will deal with it in the rezoning.
If there's an opportunity to reduce it by inches to avoid that, we can work with the applicant to do that. Otherwise, we will make sure that it's addressed in the requisite rezoning.
Okay, anybody else have a question? Somebody want to make a motion? Paul,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application. And it's a for test and is minor in nature.
okay, seconder. Tony.
Friendly amendment, Mr. Chair?
I'm sorry, oh, and the what?
Friendly amendment
Yeah, what's that?
to add the conditions as recommended, and it's
Oh,
a severance,
yeah.
so therefore doesn't need to meet the 4 tests.
Yep.
The conditions as per the planning report.
Is that okay, guys? Well, Tony, yep, okay. Any other? Okay, on the motion, all in favor? Opposed, carried, unanimous. Thank you. Thanks, Tracy. And next we have Genevieve Belanger. Dan Selesky's here on this one.
Yes, sir.
Whenever you're ready, Don.
Okay. Application for cassette B1821, Genevieve Belanger, 13050 Riverside Drive. The purpose of the application is to request consent to sever a 7.6 meter, 25.1 foot wide vacant parcel of land having an irregular depth and a lot area of 974.1 square meters, 10,485 square feet, identified as Part 2 on the sketch attached and outlined in red, and consolidated with the abutting parcel to the west, identified as Part 3 on the sketch attached, outlined in blue. The consolidated lot, Parts 2 and 3, would have a frontage of 25.44 meters, 83.48 feet, and a total lot area of 2,940.8 square meters, 0.73 acres. The retained parcel of land having an existing dwelling and garage will have a frontage of 22.2 meters, 72.9 feet, and a lot area of 1,976 square meters, 21,269 square feet, identified as Part 1 on the sketch attached, outlined in green. The lands are designated residential in the Town of Tecumseh official plan and zoned residential R1 in the Tecumseh zoning bylaw 1746. The following correspondence was received. Engineering, that the applicant be required to provide and implement an engineered drainage and grading plan for the parcel to be retained and the parcel to be severed to ensure that runoff is controlled on each of the modified lots and prevent it from flowing onto adjacent properties to the satisfaction of the town's chief building official. That the applicant be required to confirm that the existing service connections, storm, sanitary, and water servicing each existing lot are located within the proposed lot frontages of the revised lots to the satisfaction of the Town of Tecumseh Public Works Division and Water Services Division prior to the severance being finalized. No comments from building, no comments from fire services. The following as IRCA's comments. The noted lands are subject to our development, interference in wetlands and alterations to shorelines and water courses regulations under the Conservation Authorities Act, Ontario Regulation 15806. The parcel falls within the regulated area of Lake St. Clair. The property owner will be required to obtain a permit and/or clearance from the Essex Region Conservation Authority prior to any construction or site alteration or other activities affected by Section 28 of the Conservation Authorities Act. No concerns from Bell Canada.
Okay, thank you, Donna. Dan, if there's anything you'd like to add to what's been read for the committee's enjoyment?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. The proponent owner is looking to potentially add on to the more easterly property in the future, and owning both properties, they just wanted them to be more balanced out in size and give them that flexibility in the future.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the committee? Daniel.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the applicant, the existing house, which is the cottage that is to the east of the applicant's present home, is that going to be demolished or is that planning to stay?
The intention, as it stands, is that the Mrs. Belanger will put that property up for sale as it stands, and the new owner will have the, have the privilege of deciding on whether they would like to demolish it or keep it. So as it stands, it will be kept.
Okay. Also, Mr. Chair, through you, for the for administration to Chad, the new proposed lot line for the severance, is that going to be, how close will that be to the existing structure of the easterly home?
Mr. Chair, I know it meets the minimum lot or minimum side yard, which is 6 feet. It's beyond that. Is that the concern?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to encroach on the side yard setback.
No, it doesn't. It meets the minimum side yard.
Okay, another question I have for you, Chad, is the lot configuration at the water. I've not seen that before for a waterfront property where it actually juts out further to the east, making the frontage on the water wider than the frontage on the roadside.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, that is unique, and I'm not sure that it presents any concerns with respect to lotting configuration, but it would be interesting to hear from the applicant as to the reasoning for that.
Yeah, we found that there was kind of a along the break wall, there are some existing structures and some docks that precipitated the idea of coming more perpendicular to the break wall and including one of the wells, instead of going right through the middle of the well. That's why the line kind of, if you zoom out there, so you can see there is a boat well So where that vertical line dock juts out is where we decided to turn it. I guess I can't point to, but it's basically further to the right. Yeah. So there was just a line that we chose to kind of, again, return perpendicular to the dock. That was a clean line that didn't have structure on either side, so that it wouldn't be an argument of using this dock amenity in the future. Yeah, right there. That's the line there. So it's just a nice clean break.
Okay, Daniel?
Yeah, I think that satisfies my question. Thank you.
Anybody else? Lori?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A question to the applicant. Have you had a chance to review the recommended conditions of severance in the planning report? And do you feel that they are achievable in the next year?
Yes, absolutely, no problem.
Okay, furthermore, Mr. Chair, a question to administration about the condition of the driveway. Can we do a little zoom in on that? And just to confirm that the driveway portion as a condition of the severance will be closed. Is that the intent, so that the lot addition will not facilitate a second driveway, Chad?
Yes, through Mr. Chair, that is the intention of that condition. And it's our understanding that the applicants plan to do that.
Yes.
Okay, so access to, we'll call it the future west parcel, will be, there you go, where the arrow currently is, to the main driveway. Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I think condition number 7 addresses the driveway. Lori, okay. Any other question? Mr. Marantat?
Yes, through your chair, just to clarify the garage out front. Is that part of that is part of the lot that's being split, correct?
Yeah, the garage currently sits on the cottage property, and it's about 5 feet away from the property line, so it's within within the bylaw as well. So it is a couple of feet closer to the property line, but it is definitely on that property. And the garage doors are facing Riverside Drive directly.
So to, I guess Lori's point, the side proposed lot line fits with that building as well?
Yes, yep.
Okay, and then I guess just a question to administration about the lot line that Daniel alluded to. If the owners were to change hands in the future, would there be some landscaping, screening, hedges put up there that are going to cause a bit of an issue for sight lines? Sight lines are a fairly delicate issue along this along the lake, and having a lot line that's, you know, on an angle to easterly properties would have the potential to create some complication. I mean, I understand why it's being proposed. Just wonder what the comment is on that.
Through Mr. Chair, the potential to do that is available because there's the fence bylaw establishes that neither fence nor bushes planted in a contiguous row are permitted. So that sort of barrier could not be implemented.
Anywhere along that new lot line?
Yeah, it would be the same as it would be the side lot line, and that's, yeah, it would not be permitted.
How does that bode with existing trees that I've seen along there?
Through you, Mr. Chair, if as long as they're not a continuous row that through you know, that presents a physical barrier or visual barrier, then they're permitted. But if they're planted in such a way that it creates a visual barrier, the fence bylaw prohibits that.
So if I just put one big tree up there,
You could plant a tree up there now, and the proposed lot configuration would not affect the ability to plant one tree.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Anybody else? Anybody else? Looking for a motion? Daniel?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion to approve application consent B 1821 located at 13050 Riverside Drive. It does, it's obviously not a minor variance, it's a application for severance, and therefore it does, as per administration, does meet the requirements necessary.
Can I ask you to add with the attached conditions?
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
Mr. Chair, with the attached conditions set out by administration.
Support by Paul? Any other comment on the motion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, next one is Ms. Simonette. Gonna pop on here, I hope. Andrea, welcome. Okay, we're not getting audio from you for some reason. Maybe you were too far away. It shows your microphone is on, but you're not. You're not very loud. No, it's almost like you got a rag over the microphone or something.
Andrea, this is technical support. Maybe you can, if you click by the side of your microphone, you might be able to increase the volume in your audio settings.
Okay, it's now off.
Can you hear me now?
Just barely, Andrea. I think we need more volume than that if we're gonna.
Can you hear me now?
Not really. Iffy.
Andrea, are you on a PC? If you, on the bottom left-hand side, there should be an audio control that's got a little chevron beside it. You should be able to open that and go to audio settings. And then if you go to audio settings, you should be able to see your mic level.
Can you hear me now?
Not much, not any better, really.
Can you hear me now?
That's a little better.
Okay, I just turned up. Can you hear me now?
It's a little better, yeah.
Okay, that's the
Oh,
most volume I can add.
okay. No, you're coming and going.
I turned the volume all the way up.
Where is the microphone? Is it in your headpiece?
No, this is just earphones, but I can. here, let
Oh,
me-
that's better. Whatever you did just there, you picked it up. It was better.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, great.
All right.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Donna.
Application for consent B 1921 2198711 Ontario Limited, 12809 Dillon Drive. The purpose of the application is to request consent to sever a residential lot having a frontage of 26.1 meters, 85.6 feet, an irregular depth, and an approximate lot area of 707 square meters, 7,610.1 square feet, outlined in red on the attached sketch. The proposed retained lot has a frontage of 19.8 meters, 65 feet, a depth of 30.6 meters, 100.4 feet, and an approximate lot area of 603 square meters, 6,490.6 square feet, outlined in green on the attached sketch. Applications for minor variance A4821 and A4921 are being heard concurrently with this application to seek relief for minimum lot area on both the severed and retained lots. As a condition of consent approval, the existing dwelling located on the property will be required to be demolished. The lands are designated residential in the Town of Tecumseh official plan and zoned residential R1 in the Tecumseh zoning bylaw 1746. Comments from engineering: that the parcel to be retained and the parcel to be severed are to be serviced with separate water supply, storm, and sanitary sewer systems to the satisfaction of the Town of Tecumseh Public Works Division, Water Services Division, and Building Department prior to the severance being finalized. Note, both the retained and severed lots will be required to outlet their storm drainage directly to the Dillon Drive storm sewer. The applicant will be required to provide a storm service connection from the Dillon Drive storm sewer to both the retained and severed lots. Due to existing municipal services and utilities located within the Berry Avenue right-of-way, it is anticipated that the storm service connection for the proposed retained lot may need to be installed within an easement on the proposed severed lot. For the storm service connection to the proposed retained lot, the applicant will be required to have a servicing plan prepared by a qualified engineer. In addition, the storm service connection must be secured in perpetuity, and any required easements must provide sufficient room for future maintenance needs. All of these requirements for the storm service connection to the proposed retained lot are to be designed by the applicant's engineer and are to be to the satisfaction of the Town of Tecumseh Town Engineer. The issue of ingress and egress to this site during times of flooding should be reviewed with the Tecumseh Fire Department and Essex Region Conservation Authority. No comments from building, no comments from fire services. IRCA's comments are as follows. The noted lands are subject to our development and interference and with wetlands and alterations to shorelines and watercourse regulations under the Conservation Authorities Act, Ontario Regulation 15806. The parcel falls within the regulated area of Lake St. Clair. The property owner will be required to obtain a permit and/or clearance from IRCA prior to any construction or site alteration or other activities affected by Section 28 of the Conservation Authorities Act. Upon review of the application and available background information, it is noted that low-lying nature of the roadway may result in excess water over the road during a 100-year flood event. The municipality must confirm through applicable emergency services, fire, police, etc., that they have the ability to safely access this area during a 100-year flood event in order to fulfill the municipality's responsibilities under Section 3.1.7 of the Provincial Policy Statement 2020. Additionally, the applicant must obtain a Section 28 permit from ERCA prior to undertaking any development on the site. Application for minor variance A4821, 2198711 Ontario Limited, 12809 Dillon Drive. The purpose of the application is to request relief from subsection 6.1.3A of zoning bylaw 1746, which establishes a minimum lot area of 789 square meters, 8,492.7 square feet. The applicant is seeking relief for minimum lot area of 707 square meters, 7,610.1 square feet. Lot outlined in red on the attached sketch as a condition of consent application B1921 is being heard concurrently with this application. The lands are designated residential in the Tecumseh official plan and zoned R1 in the Tecumseh zoning bylaw. Application for minor variance A4921, 2198711 Ontario Limited, 12809 Dillon Drive. The purpose of the application is to request relief from subsection 6.1.3A of zoning bylaw 1746, which establishes a minimum lot area of 789 square meters, 8,492.7 square feet. The applicant is seeking relief for a minimum lot area of 603 square meters, 6,490.6 square feet. The lot is outlined in green on the attached sketch as a condition of consent application B1921 being heard concurrently with this application. The lands are designated residential in the Tecumseh official plan and R1 in the Tecumseh zoning bylaw. The following correspondence pertains to both minor variance applications. Engineering's comments are as follows. As part of the building permit process, the owner will be required to submit an engineered drainage and grading plan showing how stormwater will be controlled to prevent it from flowing onto neighboring properties to the satisfaction of the chief building official. No comments from building, no comments from fire. ERCA's comments are as follows. The noted lands are, well, ERCA's comments are as already previously stated under the consent application. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Andrea, you had us, you were here last month, so you know that at this point, if there's something you'd like to add for the committee to hear,
Yes,
you can go ahead.
thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just want to add that in the planning report, it suggested that if the committee decides to grant this current severance application being an alternate orientation, as opposed to the one we had submitted last month, that it should be made conditional on the applicant withdrawing the appeals related to the prior application. It's the applicant's preference that the previous applications we move forward with the appeals. There is a sufficient municipal connection under the east-west orientation, which we would obviously need to deal with under this north-south orientation, but because it was brought forward and we wanted to explore this orientation, we're in agreement with this orientation, it is still the applicant's preference to appeal the first application. So that being said, I want to ask the chair and the committee if it's possible, if this application is accepted, that it's conditional upon the appeal being either withdrawn, exhausted, or denied. We plan to move forward with the appeal fully and to attend a hearing.
Gee, I don't know what to say. Chad,
Mr. Chair, I'm okay with that revision. The intent is simply not have two approved lotting configurations on the same property. And that captures a scenario where they've gone to the board and If the board decides in favor of that previous orientation, then the current application could not be satisfied. So I'm comfortable with that proposed wording, if the committee is comfortable with it.
Okay. So having heard that, if we decide to approve this, the applicant is basically asking us to approve it. She still wants to keep her powder dry on the other one, so that's fine.
Mr. Chair, may I add, if the committee is more comfortable with deferring this application until the hearing, a decision on the hearing has been made, we are also in agreement with that. But if the committee feels that they are in a position to make a decision tonight, noting that there would be that condition in place, we are also comfortable with that.
So let me tell you this, that I know for sure, is that if the committee approves this application we have before us tonight, the clock starts running. You have 1 year to satisfy the conditions. If your appeal will impinge on that and give you less time at the end to satisfy the conditions. So I don't know if you've thought about that. Any case.
That, yes, we would have to meet those conditions by the 1 year period as outlined in the application, if it is granted. And if the committee feels that a deferral may be more appropriate at this time, we would be okay with that as well.
Well, she's suggesting the committee consider a deferral, so let's deal with that. It's the elephant in the room, we may as well deal with that. Any comments from the committee on that? Having this application deferred until such time as the appeal is dealt with. Tony?
So actually, through you, Mr. Chair, my question would be exactly that. So if we defer this, are we deferring for 2 months, 3 months? Like, what are the time frames here? Or
I would say we're deferring until the appeal process ends.
is there a time frame allotment for that? We don't know at this point.
Well, we don't know because that's out of our hands, and it's a tribunal that would determine that time frame.
Okay, I guess my next question would it be actually appropriate to add another condition pending the LPAT decision? Or could we go ahead and add another condition referring back to the LPAT if we were to make a decision tonight?
I'm not sure what purpose there would be for that, because this is a new hearing, and we would be dealing with this on its merits after LPAT makes their decision.
Well,
if they overturn the committee's vote on the first application, then this is a new application. We start over with this. It's just, we know it's coming, that's all. But in order to have their clock start running right now, we don't want to make a decision tonight that's going to tie their hands later on. I understand that they're not going to proceed with this anyway until LPAT does rule on it. So there really doesn't seem to be any point in going ahead tonight, because we don't know what's coming.
I guess that was I was going about it a different way, but along the same lines actually is what I was thinking.
Yeah, the conditions that are being sought are going to take some time to accomplish, on this application. The way it is, there's lots of stuff to do, right? You've got to get an easement worked out. That's a permanent easement. So that's probably another hearing for us, because those easements are like a severance. And so I don't want to cripple the applicant by timeline by going ahead and hearing this and making a decision, and then they can't fulfill the conditions in the time that they have left. So I'm suggesting that we consider just deferring this. Lori.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A question to administration through you to Mr. Jeffrey. Is there, under maybe the Planning Act or procedures, bylaws maybe, is there a maximum time that a committee decision can be deferred for? In other words, is there like a maximum of 6 months or 1 year? Or is it indefinitely?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm not aware of a maximum time that an application can be deferred. In the past, we have had deferrals go on for years and then at some point reheard once the circumstances presented themselves to enable it to be reheard. So I don't believe that the Planning Act establishes a maximum period of time for deferral.
Given that the proponent has suggested this application and is agreeable, or deferral and agreeable with it, I don't think that time limit that you're talking about is a time limit when the applicant wants to go ahead and the committee decides to defer it and delay it that way. That time limit comes into effect then, because that gives the applicant a way to make the planning authority get off their butt and make their decision. In this case, they're asking us to wait until they try this other route. So I don't think, as far as I'm concerned, it could take 4 years, as been suggested, and then we hear this. So, or some other committee hears. We probably won't be around then. So
would it be, sorry, Mr. Chair, would it be agreeable to, if the committee would look to vote on the application as is, with the condition that the appeal either be withdrawn, exhausted, or decided within that 1 year period?
We can't control that. Yeah, OLT.
But then it would just, the time period would just lapse for the consent, essentially.
well, what do you want to do, committee? You want to hear this with the proponent knowing that the time limit could run out on them? Thomas.
I know that I wasn't at the last meeting, so, but I guess my question is, what is the rush tonight to make a motion to approve this if the applicant is fine with it either way? To me, there's more binding. It's more binding if we go ahead tonight rather than just let her appeal play out and then come back if it is not granted.
Okay, well, we could, the other thing we could do is defer it for a time period, as Ben suggested, defer it for 3 months. And then in 3 months, we'll revisit it. And the proponent may like to have that little bit of a window to make up their mind about what they want to do. But it would keep it from being the perennial problem. It would get dealt with in 3 months. And they could ask for a deferral again then. And we could talk about this again then. Lori.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just to confirm to the applicant, to Andrea, Your client's preference is the application that we saw last month, correct?
Based on the comments, thank you, Lori. Based on the comments that we received in the planning report, it appears that the first orientation actually provides for the municipal connection off of Dillon. And that's something that we had not yet explored on this alternate orientation until we had the time to. We are open and agreeable to this orientation, and we would be happy with the granting of this orientation as well. With regard to the building envelopes, and I've discussed this with the applicant as well, fully intend to build within the envelopes on either orientation. I know that was a discussion at the prior meeting. So we wanted to submit our appeal within the appeal period. We wanted to put forward this alternate orientation in good faith. I know that a lot of the neighbors wanted to see this alternate orientation. Because of the timing, we're a little bit limited to, having a decision made tonight that might impact our appeal. And we want to be able to see whether that alternate orientation, as it's set up currently on the reference plan, would be something that is accepted. But our question to the committee is whether it would be more favorable to defer it at this time, or whether the committee would be comfortable with making a decision on the condition as put forward in the planning report. I don't know if that answers your question, Lori.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I know we're all kind of
It
smiling.
raises a bunch more.
It does. I'm just thinking, like, we're here together, Mr. Chair, we're here together. If we'll call it the second application that's on the table tonight, if it's something that the applicant is willing to move forward with, obviously there's going to be some issues with servicing that you need to consider as well. Then I don't know why we wouldn't move forward with it. But knowing that the clock starts, I think the onus would be up to the applicant to, let's just say 1 year from now, if you want to extend the timeline for extending those conditions, I believe that you can come back to the committee and ask that, or maybe administratively you can ask that extension. I don't know the process offhand.
Okay.
But I would be amenable to hearing the application tonight. I believe we do have a member of the public anyway that's here. And I think we have some information that we can at least make an informed decision. And the applicant could choose, this option without having to go to OLT on the first option.
Well, as I understand it, even if we approve it tonight, they're still going to proceed with the appeal, which is kind of a strange approach to take, but that's what they're choosing to do. I'm of a mind to ask the committee to consider a 1 month deferral to give me an opportunity to find out about process. Because you and others on the committee have asked questions about process, about what can be done in a case like this. And I'd like to find out if there's any precedents or any, get some legal advice in terms of how this should proceed. And a month isn't going to hurt anybody. What do you think? Chad, you comment on that, please? That idea?
Of course, the administration would be willing to look into process issues, just as long as the questions are clear and what we're supposed to be looking at. My current understanding is that it could proceed, and that's why we recommended that the decision, a favorable decision, be conditional to the withdrawal of the OMB appeal. Right. In terms of timing for an OMB appeal, we're estimating 4 to 6 months to be heard for sort of a matter of this scale. I think it would provide plenty of time to address conditions afterward. But a deferral just to sort through, yeah, maybe those legal issues in more detail might be helpful.
Chad, what's the process? I think what we were also inquiring about is if there was a need to extend the timeline for meeting the conditions on this second application, we'll call it.
Yes, through Mr. Chair, there's been some debate on whether you can change or amend the conditions just for the sake of amending the conditions and extending that time period. If something that impacts a condition the committee has added surfaces within that year period, the applicant can come back to the committee and explain the situation, the circumstances, and then the committee can revise that condition, which would then start the clock again. But just to come back and to give the person more time. There's been some recent debate actually in the profession through a blog or on that exact issue, and it wasn't there wasn't a consensus. Some people had different opinions on that. So maybe that is one issue that we could look into for you.
So furthermore, looking at condition 5 in the planning report, if there are rather unforeseen circumstances that would prevent the applicant from completing the works to connect municipal services to Dillon, maybe that's one of the conditions that would require some more time to fulfill.
Okay, so somebody on the committee would like to make a suggestion as to which of these several options we might consider tonight, or if you want to just say no deferral and deal with it tonight. I'm a little more comfortable with having at least a month to find out about if we're doing it the right way. Paul.
I'll make a motion to accept the motion for deferral for a month to see what kind of information we can have in 30 days from now.
Okay. Supported by Daniel. Not debatable, so all in favor? Opposed? One opposed? Okay. So the motion passes, so we'll see you in a month, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, committee members.
All right. Donna, number 6 on the agenda.
Yeah, is the applicant, she doesn't have her video on, is she
Jennifer Hess.
Jennifer?
There she is.
There.
All right, very good. I'll start.
Hang
Application.
on. Let's make sure her mic works.
All right.
Okay, I'm here. Is that-
Okay, good.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Application for minor variance A4621 Jennifer Heck, 929 Williams Street. The purpose of the application is to request relief from the following subsections of zoning bylaw 1746. Subsection. Subsection 7.1.9, which establishes a minimum front yard depth of 7.6 meters, 24.9 feet, and subsection 7.1.10A, which establishes a minimum side yard width of 1.2 meters, 3.9 feet on an interior lot. The Applicant is seeking relief to facilitate the construction of a basement to the existing dwelling in order to remedy foundation deficiencies. Due to the construction of the proposed basement, the existing home will require the above noted relief in order to recognize the existing front yard depth of approximately 5.5 meters, 18 feet, and the existing southerly side yard width of approximately 0.4 meters, 1.5 feet, as depicted on the attached sketch. It should be noted that the existing front yard depth and existing side yard width will not change as a result of the basement construction. The lands are designated residential in the Tecumseh official plan and zoned R2 in the Tecumseh zoning bylaw. Engineering's comments are as follows: no comments. No comments from building, no comments from fire, and IRCA's comments were, with a review of background information and aerial photograph, IRCA has no objection to this application for minor variance.
Okay, Jenny, you've heard what the routine is. Do you have something that we should hear from you?
Well, just that I want to protect the integrity and the, and restore the integrity of the house so that I don't lose the house with the
Right.
pillars leaning the way they are.
Right, right. Okay. Good. Committee members? Questions? Oh, Lori, yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just a question to administration. Really, we are here tonight to recognize existing setbacks and existing variances. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's a highly technical application.
Okay, for those reasons, I will be prepared to make a motion, but I have no issues. I'll wait in case other committee members have
Okay.
questions.
Anybody else? Or will we hear the motion? Nobody's dancing up and down, so I guess, Lori, go ahead.
There's my mouse. Thank you. For the application at 929 William, is that the address?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, 929 William. I do move to support the application in that the minor variances meet the 4 tests. However, our existing condition or existing matters that we find ourselves in.
Okay. Supported by Daniel. Any discussion? Seeing none. On the motion, all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jenny.
Thank
That
you
was
so much.
easy.
Yes, it was. Thank you so much. Have a good
Come
day.
again when you can.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, Donna. Karen Howard, is she with us?
Yep.
Turn your camera on so we can see you. There we go. There you are. Okay, great. Thanks. And I heard you, so I know your mic works. Go ahead, Donna.
Application for minor variance A4721 Karen Howard, 12070 Riverside Drive. The purpose of the application is to request relief from subsection 6.1.4 of zoning bylaw 1746, which establishes a minimum lot frontage of 18 meters, 59.1 feet. The applicant is seeking relief for minimum lot frontage of 14.19 meters, 46.6 feet. See attached survey. This minor variance application is a condition of consent application B1421, which was approved by the Committee of Adjustment at its meeting on August 30th, 2021. The lands are designated residential in the Tecumseh official plan and zoned residential R1 in the Tecumseh zoning bylaw. Correspondence are as follows. Engineering. As part of the building permit process, the owner will be required to submit an engineered drainage and grading plan showing how stormwater will be controlled to prevent it from flowing onto neighboring properties to the satisfaction of the chief building official. No comments from building, no comments from fire. The noted lands are, IRCA's comments, the noted lands are subject to our development, interference, and wetlands and alteration to shorelines and watercourses regulations under the Conservation Authorities Act, Ontario Regulation number 15806. The parcel falls within the regulated area of Lake St. Clair. The property owner will be required to obtain a permit and/or clearance from Essex Region Conservation Authority prior to any construction or site alteration or other activities affected by Section 28 of the Conservation Authorities Act. Upon review of the application and above background information, we note that the low-lying nature of the roadway may result in excess water over the road during a 100-year flood event. The municipality must confirm through applicable emergency services, fire, police, etc., that they have the ability to safely access this area during the 100-year flood event in order to fulfill the municipality's responsibilities under Section 3.1.7 of the Provincial Policy Statement 2020. Additionally, the applicant must obtain a Section 28 permit from IRCA prior to undertaking any development on the site.
Karen? Is there anything you want to add? You got to turn your mic on though. There you go.
Okay, I'm taking one step at a time on the severance thing, and so I hired Rick Patterson to do the drainage thing, so I'm just trying to comply with all your list of things that I need to do to get it severed.
Yeah, you're not applying for a severance, so you're applying for a,
Minor variance, I already got a
Minor-
severance last month,
yeah,
yeah, so I'm just trying to do what's on the list,
yep, that's perfect.
okay,
I understand that.
all right.
Any questions from the committee? We answered a bunch last time. Motion from the committee. Motion from the committee? Lori, please.
Very easy peasy one tonight. So as a condition of severance, this application for minor variance, in my opinion, does meet the intent of the OP zoning bylaw and does meet the tests of a minor variance. For those reasons, I move to approve the application at 12070 Riverside Drive East.
Okay, thanks, Lori. Supported by Tom? Any question, any further questions? By the way, your mic has gone a little soft, Lori. Maybe it's covered somehow. Okay, all in favor then? Unanimous. Thank you.
Okay. Good. All right, thank you.
You're welcome, Karen. Thank you for your patience.
Okay.
Okay. No deferrals. That's next meeting. No unfinished business that I know of. Is there any new business from any members? I asked my question. Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. Oh, okay. I said, I asked my new business question was, when are we going to be back in the building? I hate this. Anyway, Daniel.
Mr. Chair, I just had a question of why we were approving the minutes from August and we haven't seen, we haven't seen the September minutes? Is that understanding? Is that my understanding that?
Right. Donna?
That's correct. I'm slightly behind with preparing
Okay,
the
no, that's
minutes.
fine. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss something. That's okay. Okay, yeah. very
No,
good.
they'll be on the next one. And, you know, as summer vacations are winding down, I'll be in a position most likely to have both sets of minutes and be caught up
Okay.
to date with the next
That's it.
meeting.
I just thought I might have missed something. Thank you.
No, that's fine. Thanks, Dan. By the way, Donna, summer is over. So summer vacations should be winding down.
Yeah, and I'm
Um,
starting to get caught up. Yeah.
Yeah, good, good. Anything else for the committee? Seeing nothing, thank you very much. Motion to adjourn. Tom and Daniel? All in favor? See you next time.
Good night, everyone.
everybody.
Night, thank you.